about my certification journey. A while back, Paul and Sergey asked me if I wanted to share something about my approach. Because, well, as you already saw in the introduction from Paul, I'm 16 times certified on the first try, with 2.5 years of Salesforce experience so far.
That's amazing.
What I'm going to tell you about tonight, first a short introduction, something about finding your motivation. Why would you want to do that many certificates? How do you familiarize yourself with the content? Tools that I've used for the familiarizing part, knowing when you are ready, some tips and my approach to taking the exam itself, some resources I've used, slightly different tools, and then lastly some Q&A. So who am I? Well, as I told you, I'm Kit Jansen, 16 times certified, done over 200 trailhead badges. I'm multidisciplinary. I started out with CRM at the University of Twente about 8 years ago in a functional administrator role. Then I switched to an implementation partner, Blue CRM in Oosterhout, where I started out on the service desk, doing technical consultancy and support for our customers. And last November I switched to Integris as a full-on technical consultant, customer facing, and now I recently started with a bit of architecture as well. And from time to time even do a bit of development. So multidisciplinary, and it really helps with my approach for, well, pretty much getting all the certificates. And yeah, I started out 2.5 years ago. Well, short slide about my employer now, doesn't make them happy. So who's Integris, my current employer? We're an implementation partner, consulting partner, as well as ISV. Over here. We have two of our own solutions, FieldBuddy and FlexConnect. FieldBuddy is a field service solution built on the Salesforce platform, so it allows a planner, a scheduler to schedule their resources, so field engineers or non-human resource like a truck or a boom crane, something like that. FlexConnect is an integration solution integrating well, either FieldBuddy or Sales Cloud, Service Cloud with financial systems such as Exact Online. We're based in Amsterdam on the north side near NDSM, 20 people and growing. We've done quite a few projects, over 200 already. And we're hiring, so you know, for a job.
Nice job.
The whole row here is good, by the way. This free, so just like that. So about the actual presentation about certifications, finding your motivation. Why do you do it? What really helps me in this part is taking ownership of my own journey. So I decide which certifications I want to do, why I want to do them, and I also adjust my plans when necessary. My ultimate goal is obtaining all 25 certifications, or even more by the time I reach that goal, and also including technical architect then, of course. And I've noticed that from time to time I've shifted around my plans for certain certifications. For instance, I found that for Community Cloud I lacked the experience, so I postponed that one and moved on to the architecture exams. So make sure that you set a large goal, keep track of where you want to go, but don't focus too much on the increments, on the single certifications. Just make sure you keep progressing towards your end goal, but yeah, adjust it when necessary. As said before, I'm quite multidisciplinary, and this broad interest helps quite a lot with finding parallels. So, for instance, with Service Cloud, I use my experience from working on a service desk. I use my experience with my role at the university, yeah, knowledge from several branches to put things into context, decide when to use certain features, and help me remember certain features. Another very important one is certifications are nice entry points into the Salesforce ecosystem. Salesforce is quite unique in this, in my opinion. You have the free developer orgs, you have Trailhead with loads of different modules and projects. The certifications themselves aren't that expensive. You can do most exams for $200. So it's quite easy to put yourself on the map and find a job in the Salesforce ecosystem by doing just a few certifications. For the very same reason, it also can boost your career progress. I, for one, well, ended up at Integris partially because I did 5 certifications last year in just 9 days. They also count towards your partner status, so you don't only make yourself happy by partner certifications, but also your employer, the partner you're working for. And I also mentioned before, focus on large-term goals. So adjust your plans, but keep focus of your end goal.
What is your end goal?
Yeah, so 25 certifications, so all of them, and becoming a technical architect, certified technical architect. That's the end goal. Yeah, I'm getting there slowly and steadily, but it's quite a hard goal to reach, I think.
So have you already started preparing for the technical architect?
Well, I'm a system architect and application architect, but not really the technical architect itself. So how do you familiarize yourself with the contents? I'm not really a fan of learning on the job. I find that when you start out with a feature on the job, the customer will ask you all sorts of questions and will kind of push you in a corner because you have no way of answering the question because, well, you're not familiar with the feature. That's like learning on the job. So what I found is the best approach, or at least for me, is starting out with the theoretical part. So just reading about the feature, getting some first context, some knowledge, and usually do that with the documentation and with Trailhead. So I use the business user modules, the administrator modules, some of the lower developer modules to get a first look of a feature, how you should use it, what the best practices are, etc. But mostly the multiple choice questions and not so much for the actual implementation. From there on, I get a pretty good idea of what the feature is. Do I want to use it? Do I want to learn it now or maybe sometime later because I think, well, I won't use it anytime in the near future anyway. So from there, I start with the applied knowledge. It's not just practical knowledge, but I want to start building. There the DevOps come into play. The Trailhead modules with building solutions where you build something and Trailhead checks whether you built the right solution. That's really helpful there. But all these things just teach you the theory part of the solution, the best practices. And then comes the practical experience where you're actually going to use the features in customer implementations. And then you'll find the customer will have things like budget and timeline, deadlines. And suddenly, if current architecture, and suddenly some things got out the window. You can't always build the best practice solution, but it is really helpful for deciding when to use certain features and putting them into context, like in the big picture of the whole solution as well as the current infrastructure of the client. And only then will I start studying for an exam. So I don't just start studying for an exam for certification just to pass the certification. I see it more as a way to prove to myself, my customers, my employer, that that I know about these features and about these subjects examined, and I can prove, well, I've reached this level. As for the studying part, focus on the gaps. I find it more rewarding to study things you're not familiar yet with through experience than studying things you almost use every day and are well familiar with, because every time you read through it's like, oh, I already know this, and it's not rewarding. It takes too much time and you get bored, you lose focus. So identify the gaps and focus on these gaps. What I usually do is take a few mock exams or do some Trailhead badges, find out what things do I know, what things don't I know, study guides, things like that. As for the practical experience bit, I also found that in a pre-sales architect role, it's much easier to get experience with all these features, because with actual implementation projects, you usually have only 2, 3, maybe 4 customers at a time that you're actually working on most days of the week. You always get a few things with support and stuff like that, but only focusing on a few projects at a time. You're only building things for these customers. But in the pre-sales role, you have many more opportunities because not every opportunity becomes a sale, and you can easily get 10 times as many projects in an architect role if you're one of the few pre-sales architects in your organization than when you're only doing implementations as a consultant or developer. So that's a great way to getting experience with many features instead of getting the in-depth experience with a few features. And what also is very important, and I think this is even my key point of the whole presentation, is be unconventional with your study methods. I'm quite a lazy student. I don't really like active studying, like looking at documentation, reading through books. I found it out at university, actually already in high school and middle school, but at university I found that it's not really my thing to dive into the books, study 8 hours, 10 hours at a time, every night, studying again. What works for me is mixing it up, trying different things, but mostly not active studying. What I've used a lot for quite a few of my exams are video courses on the Udemy platform, and I actually did those from my bed. I was laying flat, watching the big screen, laptop or smartphone next to me for the knowledge quizzes in between, and just watching 8 hours, 10 hours a day, 16 hours a day, but with long breaks in between. I watch series in between, movies, even took naps, cooked some dinner, also ate from my bed, and yeah, so try different things, mix it up a bit, but don't just try one method. Combine these things. So for the bulk of it, I use the video courses. Then I find out what my remaining gaps are after those video courses with some interactive studying methods, trailheads, trail mix, knowledge quizzes, mock exams, stuff like that. And from there I'll focus on just the gaps with some active studying, so actually reading through the documentation, actually building some things, take a more active approach. But I only do that for the gaps, and that makes it much easier to study for long periods at a time, I found. So tools that I've used, I usually start with a study guide. It's a great first stop. It tells you what all the subjects are that are examined in the exam, as well as their weightings, and a short list of bullet points per subject of the actual details of the subject. But I did find that the weightings can be a bit misleading. For instance, the largest bullet point, the largest subject in the exam is usually also the one that you use the most. That's the most common in your most roles as a consultant, developer, and admin. So usually those things, they might be the highest amount of questions in the exam, but they usually aren't the most difficult questions in the exam. And yeah, you can kind of answer these ones without actually studying for it. So I found that with developer blocks and MVP blocks, it's easier to find out what your actual focus points are, because these are usually the second, third, or fourth highest weighting subject, because they're less common, still count for quite a high percentage of your total score, and they are less common, so you have less experience with it, and these are often the ones you should focus on, and not the biggest one. And for that I've used the blocks, as mentioned. So there's various MVPs and developers out there that maintain a blog. Quite a few of them have some articles about certification in general, or even particular exams, and those are, well, in most cases quite helpful with identifying what things are important, what you should focus on. Also mentioned before quite a few times already, Trailhead. There's lots of things out there. There's modules for pretty much every role, business users, admins, consultants, developers, architects. Everything's out there, and also in various methods. You have the modules with just multiple choice questions. You have modules where you actually build something. and Trailhead checks if you build the right solution. You have projects where they take you by the hands and build a step-by-step solution. And there's the super badges that can actually test you with a larger project without guiding you that much. You have to do quite a bit yourself. And there's Trail Mix, which is also part of Trailhead platform, but I mentioned it separately because Trailhead is mostly role and feature focused. So you have various trails for certain subjects, certain features, or you have trails and modules focused on a certain role like admin, consultant, developer. But they are never truly tailored towards a specific certification, towards a specific exam. And the trail mixes are, because those things combine content from the Trailhead platform, so they can contain modules and super badges, stuff like that. But combine those things with videos from Dreamforce sessions, from TrailDX sessions, ebooks, third-party websites, and there's loads of different resources out there in a trail mix, and these are always tailored towards a specific certification. So you get a full list of what you should know in pretty much the right order, pretty much the right distribution among the subjects according to their weighting. And if you finish these trail mixtures, you're most of the times more or less ready for the exam. And also mentioned before the third-party course platforms. I personally like Udemy, but there's many more out there. And for me, especially the video courses work well because it's a lot easier to just watch a big screen 10 hours at a time than do active studying with a book in front of you.
Is that free of charge, Udemy?
Oh yeah, Udemy is most courses are by default somewhere around 200 euros, but they have insane discounts. Well, pretty much all the time. Almost every day. So usually you can get the courses for just 10 euros, which is pretty much nothing.
Are they keeping up with the Salesforce releases?
Some of them do. So not all of them, but quite a few of them actually maintain their courses with the current release. It can take up to 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe, but most of the time they're pretty well up to date.
Yeah.
And even some fixes in between the release cycle.
Advantage?
20 minutes is your question.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna steal a bit of slack from the. So, but knowing when you are ready. This may sound a bit weird, but this comes back with one of the previous slides where I said theoretical experience, applied experience, practical experience, and then start studying. I feel those first three parts are at least 75% of the experience you should have, of the knowledge you should have. So you shouldn't have to study for more than 25% of the content for the exam. The rest of it you should already know from experience, whether it's actually applied or actually practical experience or just applied experience. But the point is you should have experience before you do an exam. It's, I wouldn't say pointless, but yeah, it's much less fruitful to do an exam if you're not going to use the knowledge anyway or aren't familiar with any of the content. So only start when you're already familiar with most of it. And this is a difficult one. At university I found that I usually had too much confidence when I start an exam. But well, should be ready by now. I think I can do this, and did the exam. And even after the exam I thought, well, probably 7 or something like that, or at least 6. I got the exam back and shit, it's a 4. So yeah, finding the right amount of confidence is key, and unfortunately for others, experience makes a big difference here. So taking many exams, doing all the certifications becomes easier as you progress because well you've done more exams, you know when you are ready, and then each one becomes well more or less easier. And also the right mindset is crucial. I think a good comparison here is when I started out in Integris. I initially planned to do the application architect and system architect certifications before the end of last year. but I was commuting every day from Ulvoud, which is near Breda, to Amsterdam, which is like 125 kilometers in both directions. And it took me way too much time, so every time I got home, was way too tired. Didn't feel like studying, didn't feel like doing exams. And I thought, well, let's leave it like this. And then a while back, I got an opportunity to stay at my uncle's place because he was on holiday for quite a while. I thought, well, it's in Haarlem, much closer, lots of time to spare. I could do some certifications now. So I started with a bit of studying. First weekend did product specialist and kind of got in the flow. I did 9 certifications, or 7 exams, good for 9 certifications in just 2 months. So yeah, the right mindset can help a lot. If you get into the flow, it becomes much easier. Good. Well, I think a parallel with this, very differently, but I also found a couple of years back was that sometimes you just feel better. You have more energy. I went to the gym a couple of years back one night, worked out. Well, great session. Next day I woke up and felt great. Went to work, and after work I still felt great. But you know what? I'm gonna hit the gym again. And no goal set, didn't plan for anything. And out of the blue, I pulled a personal record with deadlifting, and that one still stands. And what I want to say about that is, it can make a big difference how you feel. If you feel tired, if you don't feel like you have the energy for studying, for doing exams, it's probably best to wait out a while, because a few months can make quite a big difference. And for the deadlift, it was more of a day-to-day thing. With taking exams, it's more of a week-to-week, month-to-month thing. But yeah, wait it out for a bit, see if it helps, and it can make a huge difference, I found.
Did you ever reschedule or delay an exam for that reason?
I never rescheduled or cancelled an exam. What I did, I didn't push through with one. I wanted to do Community Cloud a while back. As I said before, I found I didn't have the experience. There was too much new content. So even after a whole weekend of studying, Friday night, whole Saturday, whole Sunday, I think like almost 25 hours of studying, I found, well, this is not going to work out. So I didn't schedule. And well, with that, I get to my second point, or actually the second point in this slide. Don't schedule exams in advance. I never schedule in advance. I always schedule when I'm ready. So you have this great platform, the Web Assessor Criterion platform, where you can take on exams online. Basically, as long as you have an internet connection that's stable enough, and you have a webcam, you can do your exam anywhere, anytime. Because they offer 24/365, pretty much, in 15-minute time slots. And I found you could sometimes even schedule just 5 minutes in advance. So I always schedule when I'm ready, and not in advance. It can bite you. A while back with the Easter holiday weekend, I wanted to do an exam on Easter Monday, and I did check on Sunday evening, but I thought, well, I'm not gonna do it Sunday evening, it's a bit late. I'll do it tomorrow. Want to schedule, and I thought, crap, there's only one slot left, and it's 5:15 in the morning. Well, okay, too bad, I'm gonna schedule it anyway. So I woke up at something like 4:30, did the exam, and yeah, I passed. But yeah, it can bite you, but still, I would suggest don't schedule in advance, schedule when you're ready for it. Because if you schedule in advance, it becomes quite an obstacle to cancel. You think, well, I might still pass it, and then I get back to my previous point of having the right amount of confidence. If you schedule in advance, you might overestimate yourself and think, well, I can do this, I'll probably still pass, even you know you're not ready for it. So therefore, I would suggest only schedule when you're ready, and not weeks in advance, and push yourself and then find out one day before or a couple of hours before, I'm not ready for it. So when you're ready.
It can make them lazy also, because every time they can postpone the exam.
Yeah, and that's why I said at the first slide, keep track of your progress, and keep focus on your long-term goals. So I'm still pushing towards 25 certifications, towards CTA, but I don't focus too much on when I'm gonna do all the certification in between and when I'm gonna prepare for CTA. That's when I get there.
But does it mean you prepared also in parallel for different exams
Yeah,
as well?
in parallel, and sometimes a few months nothing, or even half a year nothing, and then just push out loads of certifications in just 2 months. So mix it up, do what feels right for you. For the exam itself, read carefully, is what I would say, because a lot of colleagues, former colleagues, I know have had issues with the questions, with understanding the questions, with understanding the answers. The meaning of the question is not always clear, so especially the more advanced certifications, these exams can have really long questions with lots of negations, lots of commas, sub-sentences. It can be a bit vague sometimes. What do they really want to know? I've had questions where I thought, well, none of these answers apply to this question, but probably wrong about that. And the similarity among the answers can easily lead you astray, because sometimes you have the A, B, and C, where it's like X, Y, not X and Y, X, not Y, and something like that. And you really have to know which one it is, because, well, they're so similar that you cannot just guess from memory. You really have to know it. And even more important for the knowing part are the questions in some of the designer certifications, the architect ones, that ask for what should your first step be, or what is the best answer. Because there are some exams out there where every answer is correct, but it's just that one is slightly more correct than the other, or one should be your first step and not the second, third, or fourth step. So read carefully and make sure you understand the answers and really know which answer should apply to the question. This might sound a bit weird, but try to answer them first time right. The Criterion platform doesn't allow you to skip questions. You have to answer a question before you can progress to the next question. But if you just click something, you have to get back to it, and you might have to convince yourself why the answer you selected, even if it was just to progress to the next question, is the right answer or the wrong answer, because, well, there's already something selected. It might be right. You might think, well, I only clicked it because I want to progress, so it's probably wrong anyway. So if you answer the first time right, I find it's easier to answer them than when you have to get back at it at a later time. And also review as you go. The review screen in the web assessor Sentinel thing is just rubbish. All you get is 1 to 65 with A, B, C, D next to it, and maybe an asterisk if you've marked it for review. But you can't see the question, you can't see the answers, so it doesn't really help you with reviewing. So what I usually do is sometimes one question can help you realize or help you remember what the answer is to a previous question. Then I move straight back to the previous question I wasn't sure about and answer it right away. Because if I wait for the reviewing part at the end, then I have to find both questions. And if I go straight back, can answer it, move back to my second question to the one I was at, and I can move along. So review as you go. And this is also a bit weird one. GA is generally available content, so content that's not in pilot or beta. And I found that exams can be, or at least feel, outdated. And that has to do with sometimes content can take quite a while, new features, before they're actually released. Take Salesforce DX, the developer experience with the new command line tool, new IDE, stuff like that. There was first a pilot, there were a couple of releases with beta functionality, and even now it's not really complete yet. So it could take quite some time before the full feature is released. But the exam only takes generally available content into account. So you have to know that even though you've seen these features for 2-3 releases already, it might not be generally available yet. so it's not going to be the right answer. So sometimes you have to answer the question with the previous solution. A metaphor for this would be moving people from A to B. The right answer you're thinking of is car, but car doesn't exist yet, so it's garage. So yeah, sometimes you have to answer with an old solution because the new one doesn't exist in the context of the exam. So you have to keep that in mind. And that's pretty much it for my presentation. Here's some research I've used. Certification.salesforce.com is the first stop where I usually go for the study guides and some general info about the I will share the slides, by the way, so you can take pictures. So you can get some general info about the certification, your passing rate, stuff like that. Then I usually move along to my favorite course platform, Udemy, or do Google searches because most of the time, a quick Google search can already help you find loads of blog posts, mock exams, courses that are free, or like Udemy, just a few dollars, a few euros, and that's going to be really helpful. Free blogs I use quite often. Jem has also been to a few of the user groups here. Let's see. This is a link Paul sent me about taking exams at home.
It's really well written by myself. And just to point out, for the exams, you have to have a second webcam. You can't just use your laptop, you have to have a second external webcam. I spent some time working out with the cheapest reasonable webcam to buy. Click that link, you'll find it out. And it will also be published on the Success User Group for the Netherlands User Group and the admin, so the Amsterdam
And these are a couple of other study platforms I have used Salesforce myself, but not the other two. But these are also links I believe Sergey sent me, because we have some discount codes for, which one are they again? All of them? Or?
No, sorry.
We have code for 1 month for Pluralsight, which is a very useful platform.
It's a bit like Udemy, right?
Subject matter experts doing the courses very focused, like for example, identity or community cloud. So everyone interested to reach out, we will give you 1 month's code. You can do some learning.
All right.
Usually you can get 1 week trial yourself, but 1 month is a reasonable time to test, and if you like it, just subscribe. It's nowadays one of the, at least for me, core sources of really focused knowledge about Salesforce platform and specific products.
Right. And these are also
two
some.
others have 50% discount.
Okay,
So if you're interested to use them,
yeah, so 1 month for this one and 50% off for the other one.
One of them.
And if you want to connect with me, here's my email address, my LinkedIn, and as I mentioned, I will share the slides, so you will have all these links, all these resources, as well as all the bullets. So, any questions or any tips someone else wants to share about taking exams? Yeah.
What are you going to do when you pass all exams?
Holidays. Just work. Be a technical architect. Well, I don't know. Maybe also learn other platforms. Well, we integrate quite a lot at Integris. We have our own integration solution, FlexConnect. So who knows? I might work on different platforms, even if it's just for context and for integration purposes. Because, for instance, with Marketing Cloud, I found that quite a lot of partners in the community have either experience with everything except Marketing Cloud or Marketing Cloud, but they pretty much never mix. And when I started out at my previous employer, I did a couple of integrations with Marketing Cloud, and I found out that I knew nothing about Marketing Cloud, and the Marketing Cloud partner knew nothing about Sales Cloud and Service Cloud. So it was quite difficult to set some things up because, well, is it in Marketing Cloud, is it in Sales Cloud? Not sure, and it becomes a lot easier if you know the other systems as well. So I might start working on things like Amazon Web Services, Exact Online, other platforms. Not sure yet. I'll see by then. Yeah.
Do you hire dot speaker?
Depends. But best ask them.
He's a
Over
Dutch
here.
speaker.
Dick, me, and Volodymyr is not Dutch either, so. But we do have non-Dutch speakers and speakers.
The first one certification was
Admin. Yeah.
Admin.
Yeah, yes.
And the
That's
most
in the right.
difficult one from this perspective?
Let's see. So this is the order I took them in. The first column, second column. Over here. Let's start out with admin, platform ad builder. These were in 2016. Then a whole bunch of them. Let's see, these 5 I did the last weekend of July last year and the first weekend of August. So in 9 days, 5 certifications. And then this one and this whole list is from I think March till May this year.
What's going to be the next one?
Next one's gonna be either community cloud or mobile architecture.
How many are you taking it?
Next week.
No, nothing.
Don't write it as well.
A couple of months probably.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
But, in terms of difficulty,
Challenging, yeah.
the identity and access management is quite a tough one. It's yeah, Sergey knows. It's yeah. Even if you have read the blog posts from various developers, MVPs out there who've also done it, you know what you have to focus on. You know what the difficulties are. Even then, it's still a tough one. Surprisingly easy, I found the development lifecycle on the deployment designer. I felt like, well, if you know a bit about project management and you've done some consultancy in development, then you can pretty much do this without any studying. So that one was surprisingly easy. Yeah, which one's? Product consultant was also a tough one.
How did you
But-
prepare for that? Because specialist was so easy.
Wait, which one? This one was the deployment life cycle.
Did you have
experience
with the platform?
Oh, for the Pardot, yeah, the Pardot was, both were tough. The specialist one I prepared for basically by reading through the documentation, which for specialists was doable because, well, the content is not that much. Use the same approach for consultant because of there's nothing out there. There's no mock exams, there's no video courses, there's pretty much nothing. So sometimes you want to take a different approach, you want to do video courses, Trailhead, interactive content, but you don't have an option. So for these twos, I kind of went straight in a different direction as what I would usually do, and did it by just active studying, going through the documentation, really dry.
Because I think specialist was easy.
Yeah, especially it's not that much content.
Yeah, but
It's
then
just a few
consultant,
subjects.
It was
Yeah, it's
the
11.
level was
Yeah, it's much more difficult.
much more difficult, and I'm still trying to pass that.
Yeah, I find it quite a tough one. I would of these 16, I would put it at least in the top 5 for most difficult ones for me.
Which one?
Cool.
The product consultant. Yeah.
Last
before you
one,
took
I
the
agree.
general
I
specialist,
would
before you took the part of specialist and part of consultant, do you have a hands-on experience of using part of the customer?
Just a part of one implementation, not even a full one. So
Alright, okay.
not that much.
Cool. So we have one more question, and then we're going to cut.
I
So
think he covered my question. I
Okay.
was about to ask the same thing, that have
Okay.
you given any certification for which you haven't got a chance to work on?
Yes, only for a little bit. All the other ones I've obtained experience either from Trailhead or work.
cool. Can I take this opportunity, kids? We could talk longer. I could have knew it was going to bust the time limit, but I was happy with that. Can I just thank you very, very much for sharing? I've got one more question because it got lost on the slides. How was your, and I know that you're comfortable talking about it, how was your university experience?
Oh yeah, I forgot about it. Yeah, I was actually dropped out.
16 certificates, dropped out of university. Fucking inspiration to me. I also dropped out of university, so it's like, wow.
Yeah.
So,
you don't have to be good in studying in a conventional way like you do in high school or in university. You can easily compensate for it. Yeah, that too. But you can easily compensate for it Doing loads of certifications.
So, before we do the final round of applause, have to do the plug. Kid has spent 3 or 4 evenings. Well, he's spent a lot of his own time, but he's also gone through this presentation a few times with me. Kid said he wanted to come and do a presentation. What's the largest group you've done before this?
In university with 8 other presenters, about the same, but individually maybe 8.
And how did you enjoy doing today?
Well, it's quite easy actually.
So, if anyone else wants to share some experience, please come and talk to me, Sergey, Andre. But can I? Look, I've got a broad bar. Thank you very, very much. Could be an absolute pleasure. We have busted the time, so 10 minutes, about 1:45, we'll resume.